Hello. So one quick wrap up on the series about setting a governance and controls baseline. We talked about that it is okay to set up some rules, um, about the idea of negligence, uh, the idea of triage, the difference between negligence and triage, prioritization. And the last thing I wanted to mention is who decides negligence. We talked about using good judgment, but who actually decides? And the answer is regulators. That is where government regulators come into play. So in the United States, for example, three major regulatory agencies or bodies that have that type of oversight are the Department of Health and Human Services. And so they might look at HIPAA regulations and decide that an organization was negligent when they're investigating a breach that happened. Another big one is the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. And so if something is affecting enough people, the FTC might get involved and say, look, you're not doing enough to take care of customers, the public. And another one that we hear all the time is the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. And so they're responsible for saying this particular substance is being used for medical purposes, and so it has to meet certain quality standards. And if you are not following quality standards, then you might be fined or prohibited from selling that kind of stuff. So you can imagine if a regulatory agency has to come in and look at the aftermath of things, it's not going to be as black and white or as simple as, did you follow a rule, yes or no? But you can still sort of understand how that judgment might be made. Looking at a team after some data was lost, for example, or breached, did they have a baseline? Did they have any rules written down at all? Were they prioritizing? Or were they just sort of switched off and just doing whatever was written down, but not really making judgments about urgency? And was there any management happening, any governance, any oversight? Did you have any idea how close or far you were from those rules that you had on your books, if you had those rules? And so you can imagine how the presence or absence of a baseline would play a very big factor in whether other people perceive you as doing a good job, regardless of how hard you were actually trying to follow the individual rules. And so having that baseline is a crucial step.